Hi everyone. This week in Level F, we're going to be covering the last 6 lessons, which are lessons 145 through 150. So there's a few more than normal. We're going to have 6 lessons instead of 4, and you can space those out any way you need to. You will need worksheets 125 through 130, the drawing board, the T-square, both triangles, the goniometer, the safety compass, the 4-in-1 ruler, the Casio calculator, the math card games book, and the basic number, multiplication, and fraction cards. In lesson 145, we will draw inscribed circles and learn the term bisector. The oral warm-up questions are related to what we learned in the last lesson. In that lesson, we drew regular polygons inside of circles. But in this lesson, we will draw circles inside of regular polygons. So let's take a look at the first exercise and a little bit of the worksheet.
Okay, in lesson 145, the first thing that we're going to do after the warm-ups is look at angles in a circle. So it says to sketch an equilateral triangle with a circle inside as shown below on the left. So they really do mean sketch it. It doesn't have to be drawn with the tools. So I'm going to go ahead and get as close to an equilateral triangle as I can. And then I'm going to draw a circle inside. See how it's not perfect? That's okay. They just want you to sketch it. Then it says to draw the angle bisector. So we'll start down here and head right through the center of the triangle and the circle. And we do that for this one and for this one, this vertex. Now notice my drawing is not perfect, so it's not going to line up perfectly, but it's close enough to get the idea. Now, since we know that this is an equilateral triangle, we know that this is 60 degrees. So we want to know what one of these angles is. So you can just ask your child, how many degrees do we have in the whole? And then how many degrees is there in this portion after the bisector went through it? So this would be 30 degrees. So this line is called an angle bisector, and so is this one and this one. And if drawn with the tools, we really would have 30 degrees here. The circle would be perfect and whatnot, but it's just to give a demonstration. The neat thing about the angle bisectors is that they meet right in the middle of the circle. Okay, let's take a look at the first triangle. It says find the center of a triangle by bisecting the angles. The intersection of the bisectors will be the center of the inscribed circle. Use your compass, draw the inscribed circles. So we know that this is an equilateral triangle, so we can easily use the 30, 60, 90 triangle to bisect it. And if we were not sure what it was, we could just check. This lines up with this angle, and this lines up with this one. This is 60 degrees. So we need to use the 30-degree triangle, side of the triangle, to bisect. We do it here. And here. Neither of those are real perfect. This one I actually am not happy with, so I'm going to erase that one. And I have to scooch down a little bit so that I can get right to that corner. Okay, that's much better. And then we divide right down the center. Well, a little bit too far to the left. So right about there. Okay, so where these bisect in the center is where I'm going to put the center of my safety compass. That lines up right there. Now, the tricky part is finding the appropriate circle, the appropriate hole to make the circle that's going to touch all the sides of the triangle. And this can be a really frustrating part of the exercise. So, your patience is a good thing. But if it is not 100% perfect, we're not going to die. So I'm holding on to the safety compass on the arm. I think I have a circle that's a little bit too small. Yeah, So if it's not that hole, then it's probably this one. And that one's a little too big. But it's, let me see if there's a third option. Nope. Nope. None of these other ones are going to do it. So I think we're going to have to be happy. We can get rid of this inner circle. That was definitely too small. We're just going to have to be happy with the one that's a little bit too big. So that's as close as we can get it. Okay, now let's look at a triangle or any of these figures actually. This one you could use a 45-degree angle triangle. This one, the 30, 60 would work. This one you'll have to use the goniometer, and same with here and here. So I'm going to go ahead and use a goniometer to measure the angles. So let's go back to this one for a second. If we had a regular compass, not a safety compass, you know, the ones with the pin and the pencil, then you would have been able to be more precise about the circle. So this circle, tell your students, it's the limitation of the safety compass. It's not their fault. Okay, let's look at the next one, because for the next one, we're going to have to use the goniometer for sure, but we could use the 45-degree angle triangle to bisect this 90 degrees here. I already checked with the goniometer and I know that it's 90 degrees. You cannot just guess that this is a 90, 45, 45. It looks kind of like it, but it actually isn't. So we can bisect the 90 degrees using my 45-degree angle triangle. Okay, but then for the goniometer, we need to use the goniometer on these two angles. So this I've already measured is a 40-degree angle. So I've set my goniometer to 20 degrees, and I need to push up until I get the inside corner of the goniometer matched up with the corner of the triangle. And I'm going to go up a little bit higher just to make up for the thickness of the pencil. So I'll go lightly first and see if that looks good. It's pretty okay. I will use the straight edge on the goniometer to draw the line and darken it. Okay, so now that you can see that I bisected the 40 degrees into two 20-degree angles. So this next angle is tricky because it's 50 degrees. And so I have to line the bubble up halfway between the 20 and 30 degrees, which I have done. And in this case, I'm not going to use my T-square anymore. I'm just going to line up the left line here with the inside left leg of the goniometer and the point of the triangle with the point of the goniometer. And once again, I'll do it lightly to see, okay, that's a little off. So I needed to move the goniometer over just a tad so that I can go through the center of that line. So in this case, probably the easiest thing is to not worry about measuring this line, just hit for the center of the cross from the other two bisectors. That would probably be the least frustrating thing for your student. Okay, so now I've gotten a pretty good center right there. And I'm going to line up the center of my compass. And I'm going to pick the closest circle I can. This might be it right here. It's pretty good. It's not perfect, but it is touching here and here and a little bit off here, but it's close enough. Once again, this is going to have to be good enough because if you were using a regular compass, you could get it more perfect than this. But this demonstrates how you can sometimes use the drawing tools to find the bisector, and sometimes you have to use the goniometer, which would be the case with some of the following figures as well. So I hope that helps you to, one, accept the fact that it's not going to be perfect, and two, to realize how you can find that center point by using the angle bisectors.
In lesson 146, we will draw inscribed squares. So first ask the oral warm-up questions, and then we'll look at how to draw a square. After that, we'll take a look at the first problem on the worksheet.
Okay, so for the first exercise, we're going to draw a square. And the instructions say for you to draw a square and the diagonal. So just like we did with the equilateral triangle, you're just going to eyeball it. Okay, it's not perfect, it's fine. And then you draw the diagonal and you say, does this remind you of the 45-degree angle triangle? And it should, even if it's not perfect, it's close enough. So now, how do we draw a real square that is accurate? So the first thing we do is we draw a line vertically and a line horizontally. Now notice how I didn't try to draw them accurately. This line's a lot longer. The reason why I did that is because we want to show the students that you can overshoot the lines and then go back and actually draw the accurate square. So I'm going to draw the top horizontal line as well. So the only thing we're trying to figure out is this end line on the right. So the way we do that is we take our T-square and our 45-degree angle triangle and we line it up here in the corner. And then we just make a little mark right here as if we were going to draw the diagonal, but we don't draw it all the way. It's just a tick mark. Then we line the tick mark up with our triangle and draw a vertical line. This is a square with equal sides and equal angles. And I can erase the part that I overshot. Okay, so according to the directions, we need to draw 2 squares inside the triangle in order to be able to draw the inscribed square. And this is true for all of these triangles, despite the fact that your lesson book does not show the process in the answers. You do need to follow these steps for all the triangles. Okay, so for this first triangle, I'm just going to pick a spot. I could pick it anywhere along here. I'm going to just pick a spot to draw my vertical line. And I already have a horizontal line. So now I need to line my 45-degree angles up with this intersection of the vertical line and this diagonal line here. And make a tick mark down here. And from that tick mark, I can draw a line up. And notice how I've gone past where the other one is. I didn't have to do that, but I'm just doing it for an example. Now I can draw this line over here. I could have actually done it in reverse. I could have drawn this line a little too long, and then this line would have intersected it, and I would have erased over here. So there's my first square. Now I just draw another one. It doesn't matter where, but it should be overlapping. It could be here in the middle. It could be a little bit closer to the edge. It doesn't matter. All right, so now I draw this line. This time I'll draw this line up here first. Hopefully I'm going past. Then I find the diagonal. I make a tick mark down here. And I use the edge of, my straight edge on the triangle to draw a vertical line up. And now I erase the extra. Now at this point, I just need to draw a line through these 2 vertices from this vertex over to this edge. And you can use any straight edge. It doesn't have to be any particular one. Okay, so I'm going to draw from here. Let me make sure I'm bisecting it properly, all the way over to here. Okay, so now that I have that over here, I want to draw an inscribed square. And how do I do that? I go back to my T-square and triangle. First, I would draw this line here, this vertical line from where I intersect this side of the triangle. I'm going to draw that vertical line down. I already have a horizontal line here. I can draw a horizontal line over here because I know it has to be inscribed. Therefore, it has to touch both sides. And then I can draw the vertical line over here. There we go. We have an inscribed square. It's touching each leg of the triangle. Okay, so I have highlighted with a marker this inscribed square so that you can see easily what we're talking about. And the instructions say to measure it in centimeters. So I think that says 3.1, maybe 3.2. So we're going to write down what we think the measurement is, and then we're going to calculate the measurement. Okay, so we want to measure the side of the triangle. That is 8 centimeters, one of the sides. So that's 8 centimeters. It's the base. And then we're going to measure the height. And that is 5 centimeters. And then we need to calculate. And what the formula is, says right here, is width times height. So that would be 40 centimeters. And divided by width plus height. So 8 plus 5 is 13. And with my calculator, I can see that 40 divided by 13 equals 3.076. So the 6 is going to make the 7 and 8. So 3.08. In this case, we are rounding to the nearest tenth, so my answer is actually 3.1. And that is what I measured, 3.1 centimeters. So remember, after you've drawn the inscribed square, following this method of 2 squares, lining up the vertex, and drawing a line all the way over to the opposite side from that angle. So you would draw the line from here to here, here to here. You measure the side of the square to see what you get. We got 3.1. I was a little iffy about it, whether it was 3.1 or 3.2, but we went with 3.1. Even if we had written 3.2, this answer is close enough. So don't worry about it if your student said, hey, it looks like 3.2. Okay, then you measure the base of the triangle, not of the square, but of the triangle, and I got 8 centimeters. And then the height of the triangle, and I got 5 centimeters. So then I multiply the base times the height, and I got 40. And I added the base plus the height, and I got 13. I divided those two numbers, and I got 3.08, which rounds to 3.1 centimeters. You'll just do the same process for this problem and for this one.
Okay, so now you can have your child finish that worksheet. And I want to clarify something in the lesson book about the enrichment questions. I believe that it should say, what are 2 methods that you can use to find the area of the triangle surrounding the square, not surrounded by the square. So surrounded by the square would mean actually the area of the square. So this was just a mistake in the book that they haven't corrected yet, as far as I know. So the area that they're looking for are the 3 triangles, the 3 smaller triangles that are made when you inscribe a square into that triangle. So it should say, what are 2 methods you can use to find the area in the triangle surrounding the square? All right, so now you can ask the in conclusion questions, and we'll move on to lesson 147. This is the arithmetic review in preparation for the final assessment. So go ahead and ask the oral questions and then have your child complete the 3-page review. If your child struggled with any of the problems, we can go ahead and look at which lessons to review. Okay, so if your child missed oral question number 1, go ahead and review lessons 1 and 2. Oral question number 2, review lesson 3. Oral question number 3, review lessons 20 and 21. For the write the answers questions, number 4, review lesson 58. Number 5, review lessons 15 and 38. For number 6, review lesson 3. For number 7, review lesson 6. For number 8, you can review lesson 97, and for number 9, review lesson 9. For the do the calculations section, questions 10 through 23, go ahead and review lesson 111. For the rounding section, questions 24 through 30, review lessons 30 and 31. For the match the square root questions, 31 through 34, review lessons 58 and 59. For find the values, questions 35 through 39, review lesson 31. For write the value, questions 40 and 41, go ahead and review lesson 19. And for write the numbers in expanded form, for questions 42 through 43, also review lesson 19. All right, for the evaluate the expressions, those are questions 44 through 48, review lessons 15 and 17. For the greater than, less than, or equal to questions, question number 49, review lessons 24 through 26. For question 50, review lesson 10. For question 51, review lesson 40. For question 52, review lessons 41 and 42. For question 53, review lesson 40. For multiplying fractions using an area model, those are questions 54 and 55. Go ahead and review lesson 99. For dividing fractions on the fraction chart, those are questions 56 and 57. Go ahead and review lesson 105. For the canceling questions, 58 and 59, review lesson 102. For solve the problem, questions 60 and 61, review these lessons that correspond to the steps in the problem. So the first step, and if you're looking at your answer book, you can easily tell what steps I'm talking about. Review lessons 89 and 91. The next step, review lesson 101. The next one, review lesson 26. The next one, review lesson 110. And the last one, review lesson 101. For the third page of worksheet 128, so this is the last page of this arithmetic review. For the solve the problems questions, notice that on the page before, we already had questions 60 and 61. So this is just a little tiny mistake. They started over with 60 and 61. It doesn't really affect anything. It's just kind of an annoyance. So for the solve the problem questions, 60, review lesson 136. For 61, review lesson 132 and 135. For the subtract or multiply, questions 62 through 65, go ahead and review lesson 90. For area of two triangles, which are questions 66 through 68, review lessons 67 and 68. For the answer the questions, question number 69, review lesson 20. Question 70, review lesson 144. Question 71, review lesson 99. Question 72, review lesson 105. For question 73, review lesson 142. For question 74, review lesson 75. For question 75, review lesson 132. I bet you thought I was going to say review lesson 74. For question 76, review lesson 134. Okay, for lesson 148, this is a review game day. There are several warm-up questions, and then you should play Division War with the variation that's listed in the book. That's where the winner is the one with the higher remainder rather than the higher quotient. This is game D12 in the Math Card Games book. Next, play Crazy Squares, which is P23 in the Math Card Games book. There is a video demonstrating this game at the Right Start Math website, and I will leave a link in the description. Then play Fractions in 4 Operations, which is F45 in the Math Card Games book. And finally, play Percentage 1 or 2 game, which is F49 in the Math Card Games book. Lesson 149 is the Geometry and Measurement Review, which will also prepare your student for the final assessment. So here are the lessons you can review if you find that necessary. Okay, for question plot point D, that's questions 1 through 6. Go ahead and review lesson 126. For fill in the table, questions 7 through 13, review lesson 142. For which rectangle has the greater area, that's questions 14 and 15. Go ahead and review lesson 138. For the SI and USC units, so that's the metric and US units, those are questions 16 through 25. Go ahead and review lessons 131 and 132, 137, and 138. For the greater than, less than, and equal to questions 26 through 31, go ahead and review lessons 131, 134, 137, and 138. For the area and volume questions, number 32, review lesson 146. For number 33, review lesson 67 and 68. For number 34, review lesson 62. For number 35 and 36, go ahead and review lessons 73 and 74. And for question 37, review lesson 144. All right, lesson 150 is our very last lesson in level F. So you can go ahead and give yourself a woohoo. This is the final assessment for the year. There are corrections. So if your book was printed before December 16th, 2019, please go ahead and check the link in the description for those corrections. This is a 5-page assessment. So if you feel that that's too long for one day, which I honestly would feel that that was too long for one day, go ahead and spread it out over as many days as you find necessary. Here are the lessons to review if you find that that is necessary. Okay, page 1 of lesson 150. If your child missed oral question number 1, go ahead and review lessons 1 and 2. Oral question number 2, review lesson 3. Oral question number 3, review lessons 20 and 21. For the write the answers question, number 4, review lesson 58. Number 5, review lesson 15 and 38. For number 6, review lesson 3. For number 7, review lesson 6. For number 8, review lesson 97. For question 9, review lesson 9. For the do the calculations section, questions 10 through 23, review lesson 111. For round as specified section, questions 24 through 30, review lessons 30 and 31. For match the square root, those are questions 31 through 34, review lessons 58 and 59. For find the values, questions 35 through 39, go ahead and review lesson 31. Page 2 of this assessment. For the write the value section, questions 40 and 41, review lesson 19. For write the numbers in expanded form, questions 42 and 43, also review lesson 19. For evaluate the expressions, that's questions 44 through 48, go ahead and review lessons 15 and 17. For the greater than, less than, and equal to section, question number 49, review lessons 24 through 26. Question 50, review lesson 10. Question 51, review lesson 40. For question 52, review lessons 41 and 42. For question 53, review lesson 40. For the multiply using area questions 54 through 55, go ahead and review lesson 99. For dividing using the fraction chart, questions 56 through 57, review lesson 105. For the canceling section, questions 58 and 59, review lesson 102. For the solve the problem question, 60 and 61, review these lessons that correspond to the steps in the problem. So the first step, review lessons 89 and 91. Second one, review lessons 101. The third one, review lesson 26. The fourth one, review lesson 110. And the fifth one, go ahead and review lesson 101. Okay, page 3. Solve with dimensional analysis questions 62, review lesson 136. Question 63, review lessons 132 and 135. For the subtract or multiply questions 64 through 67, review lesson 90. For the area of two triangles, questions 68 through 70, go ahead and review lessons 67 and 68. For the Answer the Questions section, question 71, review lesson 20, 72, review lesson 144, 73, review lesson 99, 74, review lesson 105, 75, review lesson 142, 76, review lesson 75, 77, review lesson 132, and 78, review lesson 134. Moving on to page 4, for Plot the Point D, questions 79 through 83, review lesson 126. For Fill in the Table, questions 84 through 91, review lesson 142. For which rectangle has a greater area, questions 92 through 93, review lesson 138. The last page is page 5. So for the SI and USC units, questions number 94 through 103, review lessons 131, 132, 137, and 138. For the greater than, less than, or equal to questions 104 through 109, review lessons 131 through 134, and lessons 137 and 138. For the area and volume problems, question 110, review lesson 146. For question 111, review lessons 67 and 68. For question 112, review lesson 62. For question 113 and 114, review lessons 73 and 74. For question 115, review lesson 144. Okay, congratulations. Your student has finished level F in our Right Start Math curriculum. Thanks so much for joining me this year. Bye-bye.